I watched her walk away, and I knew something was extremely wrong. And as if to verify it, as soon as she walked into the door, Simon went into action. "All right, people, she's been triggered. Clear this field. Now," he motioned with his hands. "Simon," I asked him. He looked at me. "You triggered Black Beauty, and if I were you, I would take cover." Then he went into the building with the other men that were just on the field. My men stood waiting on my orders. "Go inside," I told them. "I'll handle this myself." I stood perfectly still listening as she went into her loft. She changed clothes. She moved as if she was on autopilot. I took off my duster. I heard her open a door and then grab a weapon and bullets, big bullets, rifle bullets. She closed the door and made her way to the roof. The way she moved was almost robotic. Something was off. Seconds later, she appeared over the ledge, the rifle in her hand, aimed at me. "Spank this, mother," I heard her say under her breath before she took the first shot. I moved out of the way just in time. She was aiming to kill. Okay, it was time to end this. I took off at a sprint, running toward the building. She shot at me the whole way. I jumped and grabbed onto the ledge of the lobby window and scaled the wall. At first, she watched me amazed at my ability, but seconds later, she was shooting again. I swung my body into an open window just in time to avoid being shot. The Irish woman, Margaret, screamed from where she stood at her sink, washing some laundry. "Sorry about this, ma'am," I told her, sprinting through her apartment and out the door. I took the stairs 3 at a time that led to the roof. I got up there just in time to see the back of Debora's black coat tail as she disappeared down a hole in the roof. I was on her, but she was moving fast. I followed her down the hole. It dropped down a few levels, letting out on the 4th floor, I think. As soon as my feet hit the ground, I heard the trigger being pulled, although I couldn't see where she shot from, so judging by the sound of the force of the bullet, she was aiming towards my right. I rolled to the left, just in time to see a hole appear in the wall behind me. She was running again. I got to my feet and I chased after her. She ran down the stairs, across the lobby, and down some more stairs. She ran much faster than she had the day before. There was something going on strange here. When she reached the basement, she turned and fired 2 shots at me. Not really aiming, just trying to slow me down. I sped up. She was heading toward a black motorcycle that sat facing a slight opening, ready to go. I pumped my legs. I had to reach her before she got to that bike. She went to swing her legs over and I tackled her from the back, taking both of us to the ground, careful to turn so that I broke our fall. However, she went wild in my arms. She threw combos that had me back on my feet, blocking them instantly. She was much stronger than she had been the day before as well. Her movements more lethal. Once again, almost mechanic. Right when I thought I would grasp her, she would dip out of my reach and follow with a kick or a punch. And I'm not gonna lie, this was beginning to upset me. And I didn't want to hurt her. "Dear Yah, help me keep my head so that I don't hurt this woman," I prayed. Right then I spotted rope on the table across the room. I grabbed a hold of her and threw her in that direction. She landed on her feet and went right down into a flawless sweep. I leaped in the air, just avoiding it, and I landed on the table with the rope. She came out of the back of her pants with a 9 and got out 2 shots. I flipped off the table, just barely avoiding that piece of leg. Then I was on her. I hit her arm, causing the gun to fly out of her hand. Then I took her feet from under her. When she fell, I was on her. I did quick work at tying her hands, all while avoiding those deadly legs and teeth. She was savage. Once I got her hands tied tight, I grabbed more rope off the table. She was on her feet instantly. The look in her eyes was deadly. She was determined to kill me. Damn, trying to tie her feet. I charged her. She was up in the air, trying to deliver a roundhouse kick. I went down on my knees and slid underneath it, coming up directly underneath her. I grabbed her right out of the air. She screamed out in frustration. I carried her bucking body to a pipe that ran across the ceiling with one arm. I held her. I used the other arm to throw the rope over the pipe. When I was done, I put her on her feet, instantly using my shin to block a kick she sent my way. I did quick work at tying her hands to the rope. I pulled it tight so that her hands were over her head. I pulled it tighter so that only her toes touched the ground. She grimaced. I really hated causing her pain, but she had gone postal on me, and there was no other way. When I had her secured, I stepped back and looked at her. I put my hands on my knees as I took some deep breaths. That was a workout. Trying to restrain her without hurting her? I had just got a workout. What is wrong with you? I asked her. She stared straight ahead without making eye contact at all. The dead look in her eyes was starting to piss me off. I charged her. She pulled up on the rope and tried to wrap her legs around my neck. I blocked it. Stop! I yelled. She flinched, but not in fear. In fact, her mouth got tighter as if I had just angered her more. Deborah! I yelled. That is not my name, she yelled back. My name is Black Beauty 373901. She gave me the spiel all American soldiers were trained to give when caught by the enemy, still not making eye contact. I frowned. Deborah, what are you talking about? That is not my name, she yelled again. My name is Black Beauty 373901. I checked the rope to make sure it was secured, and then I took the stairs up from the basement 3 at a time. It was time for me to get some answers. When I stepped into the lobby, it was to be greeted by all 50 plus of the people that were here when we got here, plus a few of my own. My belle stood holding Yafa's hand. Is she all right? She asked. She's fine. You should be asking me if I'm all right. That weasel Baxter stood with that same smirk on his face that he wore when I first threatened Deborah earlier. Simon, what just happened? I asked him. He exhaled. I think it would be better if I showed you. He turned and walked up the stairs to the 3rd floor. I followed him down a long hall to a set of wooden double doors. He took out a key and opened one of the doors. When we walked into the office, he turned on the light. It smelled of old books with a faint, very faint scent of cigars. The walls were covered with pages and pages of notes. There were a few pictures of Deborah. On the desk and the floor were boxes full of files. There were even boxes of files on the brown leather couch that sat against one of the walls. It looked like at one point in time this had been a very nice office. The oriental rug on the floor was beginning to fade. The big oak desk was covered in a layer of dust. What is this? I asked Simon, picking up one of the files off the desk and opening it. Inside were more notes like the ones that were tacked to the wall. Simon looked around and held his arms out. This is Deborah, he said. I looked up from the file I was reading and frowned at him confused. Deborah was Father's obsession. He had managed to do something with her that he could not duplicate. Somehow he had taken her violent childhood and compartmentalized it in her head. Simon shook his head. I don't really know the full of it, but it's all here in these files. But, man, I don't know. Somehow Father had managed to twist Deborah's painful past in her head to the point that whenever she feels or believes someone is going to hurt her, she just shuts down whatever it is in her that makes her human and powers up a completely primal side of herself. It's not like a split personality or anything. She is still there and aware, but something does happen to her. It was one of the reasons Father became so obsessed with her. She was different from everybody else in the program, including me. Some of us had the kind of minds that could be broken and reprogrammed to be whoever they needed us to be. Not Dee. She had only 2 sides to her. That side you met, and that side that's down there right now. Father was amazed at her ability to do that. She's faster, stronger, more deadly. I don't know what goes on in her head, and neither did Father. Simon chuckled, which was probably the reason behind his obsession, he said. Why are you telling me this? I asked him. He sat slightly on the desk. I have known Dee for a long time. And in all that time, I have never seen her not flinch or scream in pain when touched. I'm pretty sure I'm her best friend. But once I made the mistake of touching her arm, and she almost shot me. He chuckled again. But then I saw you touch her, and she didn't even flinch. There was no pain. I started thinking that maybe, just maybe, you can help her. She's a good woman that very bad things have happened to. He looked off into the distance. Hell, at one point I thought that maybe I would be that man that would crumble down those steel walls she got around her heart. He shook his head slightly. And I wasn't the only one either. But I come to realize that she's not for me. And any other of those poor bastards that fell under the spell of Black Beauty. He looked up at me. I don't know who you are or where you came from, but you one lucky bastard. And if you can melt that ice, he chuckled, hell, you'll be the luckiest bastard on this planet. He stood and walked towards the door. When he got to it, he turned and looked at me. Oh, and Black Beauty's aim is always on the mark. The fact that you standing here alive means she really didn't want you dead. If she did, you wouldn't be here right now, my friend. He put his hand on the door. All there is to know about her is here. How do I trigger her? I asked. He shook his head. That's just it, boss. There is no controlling Black Beauty. She's going to have to trigger herself. He held up a key showing it to me before he set it down on a little table by the door. Lock up when you finish, he said before he slipped out the door. I looked around at all these boxes. Wow. What the hell had I just gotten myself into? Rest, the Malakine had said. A gift was another word he had used. I rubbed my hands through my locks, exhaling. Well, I tell you one thing, this information ain't gonna find itself. I pushed up my sleeves and I got busy. However, an hour later into it, I threw the file I was reading down in frustration. No wonder the doctor could never get control of her. He had all this information and didn't know her at all, which was amazing in itself because he kept perfect records. All the way from the tender age of 10, he had everything on her, from what she feared and hated to how her feet arched when she ran. But in none of these files had I read or did I come across anything that spoke of what she loved or even liked, what she found beautiful or inspiring. It seems I was going to have to find all that out on my own. However, all of Baxter Sr.'s information was not unuseful, like the fact that he had been responsible for the judge looking past her injuries to give her a life sentence. That way, she could easily disappear in the system and nobody would know. He had come across her file shortly after she had been booked. He had studied her at the time, a 10-year-old Deborah, amazed at how she carried herself after seeing her mother murdered and killing the man who had done it. He knew that she would be the perfect candidate for his new program. I balled up my fist when I saw the pictures of her mugshot. Both of her eyes were swollen and blackened. Her bottom lip had been split. She had a cut running down her eyebrow. And those were just the injuries that could be seen in the picture. According to her file, she had bruising on her private area. Although he had not got around to the actual rape before she killed him, the man had done great damage with his fingers. I wanted to kill him over again, and Baxter Sr. I tossed the file down on the desk, and I headed out the musty office. After I locked up, I went and searched for my bell. Her and her granddaughter's apartment was on the first floor. I knocked on the door, and her granddaughter opened it. She gave me one of those young, flirty girl smiles. "Hey," she said, real breathy. "Cheyenne, move out the way and let the man in." Still giving me inviting eyes, Cheyenne stepped to the side. I walked in the small studio-sized apartment. They had taken a storage building and made apartments. This one looked like it may have been 2 storage rooms with the wall in the middle knocked out. It was very small, just enough room for the 2 twin beds, a dresser, the chair that Mabel sat in, and a small kitchen space. On each floor were 2 bathrooms for everybody on that level to share. Mabel sat in a chair that was next to her bed, sewing something. "Come in, young man. Have a seat," she said, patting the bed where Yafa lay sleeping. I sat down on the edge, being careful not to wake my daughter. "You know," Mabel said, cutting her eyes at me, "I do know that it's you that's been stealing my apples." She put the needle through the material and pulled it up. "What gave me away?" I asked. She pointed the needle at Yafa. "That child ate up more than her weight in dried apples today. And see, I noticed the missing apples on the tree. And I said to myself," I said, "Self?" Myself said, "Yeah." I said, "That baby can't get up there and take them apples. And everybody around here knows not to go in my garden and take nothing out of it unless they got their permission." So then I thought, if that baby liked them apples like that, then that baby daddy probably liked them apples like that. I chuckled. "Wow, that's impressive detective work," I told her. She nodded. "Yes, I guess it is. It also helped that Freddie saw you steal one yesterday morning, and Maggie girl saw you steal 2 this morning." I laughed. "Mabel is something else." "You don't mind, do you?" I asked. "Nah, for you, the man is going to help my Deborah, you can have all the apples you want." I nodded. I realize now that Mabel may be a good source of information. "How long have you known Deborah?" I asked. "Oh, I've known Deborah a long time. I was there when she was born. You see, her mother was beautiful, a beautiful woman too, just like her. But she attracted the wrong kind of men. I used to babysit Dee when she was real young." I nodded again. "She told me once she had to be about 7, that she would always take care of me. She said I was one of the only people in the world who loved her. And she's loyal like that to people who care about her, you know what I mean? And did you know that child never forgot me? She left let me see now. She left, she was arrested at 10, and after that, I didn't see her again until after the flare hit. I thought we were going to die in that basement. We had locked ourselves in to protect ourselves from those monsters that was walking around the street eating folks. And we locked ourselves down there, and I thought we was just going to starve to death down there. And one day I heard a loud crash. I looked up, and do you know there was Deborah standing there that had kicked in my basement door? She carried us out there that day. She carried us out there." Mabel turned to look at me. "If you get her loyalty, you would have a gift indeed." I nodded. "Do you mind watching Yafa for the night for me? I don't know how long this is going to take." "Oh yeah, this baby ain't no problem. You go ahead and handle your business." "Thank you," I said, coming to my feet. She reached out and grabbed my hand. "She's in there, you know. She can hear you. Most of these folks can't figure out what she does when she goes into that black beauty mentality. See, they think they don't know what's wrong with it. They think it's a split personality. See, I know what it is. It's her very own way of protecting herself. See, you got to first assure Black Beauty that now that you're here, everything gonna be alright." I looked at her amazed. I had just skimmed through about 50 files, and that doctor with all his knowledge and know-how had not gotten what Mabel had just gotten with good old-fashioned common sense. I nodded at her. "Thanks, Mabel." "No problem." I turned to leave. "Dawid," she called after me. I turned back. She tossed an apple to me. "You may need that, son." I caught the apple. Yeah, I could always use that. I took a bite as I headed back downstairs. Reading through the doctor's files, he had been puzzled as to what exactly happened to Deborah's mind when she went into Black Beauty mode. She still responded as if she was Deborah, so he ruled out split personality. But like I thought earlier, he documented the fact that she was stronger, faster, more deadlier. And I have to admit, I was intrigued. I was looking forward to cracking this puzzle. When I got down to the basement, I saw that she hung there now with her head down. I grabbed a chair and pulled it close to her and straddled it. I took another bite of my apple as I studied her. I can see why so many men have been obsessed with her. She possessed the kind of beauty that lets you know she was one of Yah's great masterpieces. But it was something else about her that made a man want to own her, control her. She made a man want her love. The old doctor had tried many things to break through the shell that was Black Beauty, but I bet I knew something he didn't try. I pulled my Bible out of my cargo pants pocket. I think now is a good time to begin your training. My voice echoed throughout the big basement. Slowly, she lifted her head. What kind of training, she asked. And now I understood what puzzled the doctor. She responded as if normal, but she wasn't. The eyes of the killer still looked back at me. Well, I promised you last night that I will show you how to fight your demons. She blinked. That was a good sign. That was the first time I saw her do that since she had gone into Black Beauty mode. What is that? She asked, looking at my scriptures. It's my sword. She blinked again before she frowned. But it's a book. I nodded. Yes, baby, it is. But to demons, it's a sword. I don't comprehend, she said. I opened the book to one of my favorite songs. Oh Yah, power of vengeance, I began to read. O power of vengeance, shine forth. Raise yourself up, O judge of the earth. Render punishment to the proud. Yah, how long are the wrong going to exalt? They pour forth words. They speak arrogantly. All the workers of wickedness boast in themselves. They crush your people. Oh Yah, they inflict your inheritance. They kill the widow and the stranger and murder the fatherless. Yet they say, Yah don't see me. And the power of Yaakov pays no heed. Take heed, you senseless among the people, and you fools. When would you become wise? He who planted the ear, does he not hear? He who formed the eye, does he not see? He who disciplines the nations, does he not reprove? The one who is teaching man knowledge. Yah knows the thoughts of man, that they are but a breath. Blessed is the man you discipline, O Yah, and instruct out of your Torah, to give him rest from the day of evil, until the pit is dug for the wrong. For Yah does not leave his people, nor does he forsake his inheritance. For right ruling returns man to righteousness, and all the upright in heart follow it. I looked up from the scriptures, and for the first time since she had gone Black Beauty on me, she was looking directly at me.